Have you ever wanted to be a part of something really big? Hi, I'm Mark Zimmerman. Thank you for giving me just a moment to introduce you to the Barefootin For Haiti Golf Classic, but even more than that, to the precious people who were the motivation behind it all. It was December 2007. I was in the midst of my third trip to Haiti over the course of several years, traveling with a group of about 20 people from Whitestone Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. We were in Haiti trying to help a friend, Pastor Nicholas Louis Justi, a Haitian pastor who had started over 25 churches and schools throughout Haiti. In 5 of those places, there were orphanages, housing hundreds of kids, taking care of boys and girls who had either lost their parents or in most cases had simply been abandoned because their parents couldn't feed them. You see, that's what Pastor Nicholas had given his whole life to, building up the church and loving and feeding the people that everyone else seemed to ignore in Haiti, the children. He had grown up in Haiti watching children die in the streets his whole life. With God's help, he decided to do something about it. He started with one child, and then another, and another, taking them in off the streets and raising them as his own children. That was over 25 years ago. By the time I met him in 2003, literally thousands of children had been taken in, fed, educated, nurtured, and loved by this man and his family. That is the legacy of the Poor Children's Assistance Project, the ministry started by this quiet, unassuming Haitian pastor, Pastor Nicholas Louis Justi. We had gone to Haiti with one simple idea, to do whatever we could to help, giving away money, food, clothes, medicine, whatever we could carry, we gave it away. We traveled to several different places, trying to do as much as we could at as many different places as we could. But no matter how much we did, at the end of the day, the need was so great, it was as if we hadn't even been there at all. You see, Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, a teeming mass of people living on top of each other amidst poverty, disease, wreckage, ruin, political unrest, and surrounded by a hopelessness like you cannot possibly imagine unless you see it for yourself. But in the midst of all the garbage, the cruelty, the chaos, we were taken by surprise by something so beautiful, so precious, so unexpected, that it literally took our breath away. We had set aside one day from that trip to take a group of little girls to the beach for the first time in their lives. There were 12 of them at the time, ranging from 2 years old to 15 years old. They lived on an island in the middle of the Caribbean, and they had never seen the beach. You see, for them, the beach might as well have been a whole nother world away. They lived in a small village nestled up in the mountains, and that was all the world they had ever seen. Haiti is a harsh place, a place where survival takes every ounce of energy one can muster. There's very little time for play, very little time to be a child. We wanted to change that for these girls, at least for one day. The plan was simple: spend the day playing at the beach and then buy them ice cream. And that's exactly what we did. And in the process, God changed everything, both for them and for us. As we heard them laugh and giggle and sing and play, they captured our hearts in a way we never saw coming. We held them in our arms and we threw them up in the air, just as we would have done if they were our own kids. That was the day that everything about Haiti became much more personal for us. That evening, as we sat on a roof watching a beautiful Haitian sunset, we talked about all we had seen that day. We talked about the joy we saw in the eyes of the girls, about how everything just seemed right in Haiti for a change. But that celebration was interrupted by some devastating news. The orphanage was about to be closed. The girls were about to be sent away, put out onto the streets to fend for themselves. You see, Pastor Nicholas had been sick for several months, and he hadn't been able to raise money as he'd done in the past. There was no more money to fund the orphanage or the school. no way to pay the teachers, no way to buy food for the girls. That was the moment that our purpose in Haiti became clear. The day that the realization was burned into our hearts. We may not be able to make a difference for everyone in Haiti, but for these little girls, we could change the whole world. We made a commitment that day to do everything in our power to make sure that those little girls would never be forced out into the streets to fend for themselves, that their home would not be taken from them again. Well, that's how the relationship began. Over the past 2 years, the proceeds from the Barefootin For Haiti Golf Classic have been the primary means for funding the work at Coq Chante. The number of girls at the orphanage has now grown from 12 to 18. And now they truly are our girls. In fact, 5 of them are in the process of being adopted into homes in the U.S. It's been our privilege each month for the past 2 years to make sure that these precious girls get to eat every day. They have access to medical and dental care. They have clothes and shoes and a place to call home. There are over 300 school kids that now have access to a free education, teachers and caregivers that have a source of income so that they can provide for their families. We've put in solar panels for electricity, a water filtration system so that they can have clean drinking water. We've built a kitchen so they no longer have to cook outside, and the list goes on and on. But the best part is seeing how much brighter a little girl's smile can be when she knows that she's truly loved and treasured by someone. There's much more to do, and it's so much bigger than any one of us can handle on our own. But together, we can continue to make a difference for these little girls, and not just them, but for a whole community. Our friend Pastor Nicholas passed away earlier this year. We miss him dearly, but his legacy lives on in the faces of all the orphans that have hope and a future because of the life that he lived. The Barefootin For Haiti Golf Classic is proud to continue the work of Pastor Nicholas Louis Justy by providing hope and love to the children and the community of Coq Chante, Haiti. These children need your help. Will you consider joining us? There are many ways you could help, but a couple of big ones are these. First, by becoming a corporate sponsor for the Barefootin For Haiti Golf Classic, with 100% of corporate sponsorship money going directly to fund improvement projects at the orphanage. There's no better way to help. We've had an incredible group of 40 to 50 corporate sponsors over the past 2 years. And with sponsorship levels ranging from as low as $250 all the way up to $10,000 or more, there are opportunities for companies of every size and budget to get involved. Our goal this year for corporate sponsorships is $50,000. The second way you could help is this, by joining us as a partner in hope. Our partners in hope are individuals who want to give on a monthly basis simply to make sure that the basic operating costs of the school and orphanage are met. In other words, these are the people who make sure that the girls get to eat every day, that teachers get paid every month. Over the course of a year, a simple gift of $30 each month is enough to fund the school and orphanage for 2 full days. Every little bit helps, and together we can make a difference. No matter what you can or cannot do financially, please pray. Pray for these girls. Pray for this whole community. Pray for Haiti. And then give if you can. So what do you think? Do you want to be a part of something big? Thanks for listening, and God bless you.